Hello, welcome to episode 41 of the InGeneral podcast. I'm joined with Chris, as always, and Paul Francis, the co-founder and art director from Chronicle Collectibles. Hey, guys.
How's it going, Jack?
Good.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, it's nice to have you on again. So, Comic-Con.
Oh, man, Comic-Con was insane, man. It's, 200,000 people in a room that holds 120,000, and it was... It's almost to the point now at Comic-Con where they need to stop having these celebrity signings because literally it just shuts the Comic-Con down. I mean, and it's like a wave, it's like a ripple in a pond. You stop one aisle and it ripples 3/4 of a mile to the other end of the, of the convention center, and you literally cannot move. And I mean, there were times when it was gridlocked so bad you couldn't even get to the bathroom. And, I looked at my little pedometer after the show, and I think I'd done something crazy like, 23 miles at that show.
Whoa.
And it's like, I could have walked halfway across Dallas. So it's just, it's an insane show. It is the Mecca, though. I mean, it is everything that you want it to be. And we have a really good location. We're right between Mattel and Hasbro, and then Star Wars. Lucasfilm is directly across from us, and we share that booth with Toynami, our manufacturer, and we're there by the grace of Toynami and George Son, and I can't say enough good things about Toynami. They elevate our products, and we're extremely fortunate to have them as a manufacturing partner.
That's cool. And I mean, you got a lot of praise from the products that you displayed at Comic-Con, and there was some new stuff there as well that haven't really been seen before.
Hell of a lot of new stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, at previous Comic-Cons, we'd kind of snuck it out on Facebook. And at this one, we didn't show any of our 6-scale stuff until we were at the show. I think we may have hinted at some of it, and we may have shown some teasers, like faces and stuff like that. But, like Owen and Blue from Jurassic Park, some of the Jurassic Park stuff we hadn't shown at all. But we only try to show new stuff there, so we don't take old product or product that's sold out. We made one exception with the T-Rex bust because that was actually the production sample on the T-Rex bust, and Universal wanted it there because they wanted to come by and see it. So, we kind of went out on a limb this year. I wanted to have a big banner up behind the booth that had like 4 different licenses on it and really graphic, and Universal came back and they said, well, why don't you just put the big T-Rex up there? And we're like, I don't really want to do that. I don't really want to promote one license more than I do another. And then when I saw the artwork come back from Bob Lindemeyer, our brilliant graphics designer, I was just kind of blown away by it. And I said, oh, okay, let's go ahead and do it. But the only problem I had with it was, it says, and I'll point this out to the fans because a lot of fans complained at the show, it said Jurassic World on it, and it's clearly the breakout Rex coming through the fence. And Universal's new directive is everything in the Jurassic Park universe falls under Jurassic World.
Yeah, which makes sense. Obviously, as Chris said earlier, that's where the franchise is now. It's Jurassic World, but it is strange that they've now opened a Twitter for Jurassic Park.
Yeah, they actually split the Twitter. So there's a Jurassic Park Twitter and a Jurassic World Twitter. They're both verified, but the Jurassic Park Twitter has like 1,000 followers. The Jurassic World one has whatever it had before. It's like it's kind of like mixed messaging that they're sending. I don't know. Time will tell.
Yeah, I think they're trying to find their way. I don't know that they really thought Jurassic World was going to be the huge success that it was. And I know they weren't ready for it, probably. Of course, as Chronicle Collectibles is sitting here, we're extremely happy with the success of Jurassic World, and we think that Jurassic Outpost is going to be another winner as well. So it's a great time to be a Jurassic Park fan.
Yeah, it really is. And yeah, you mentioned was it the 9th scale Owen and Blue? I hadn't seen that, and it looks insane. That looks so good.
I really appreciate that. It's from the cover of Entertainment Weekly, and I just really love that photograph of him standing there with Blue looking over his shoulder, and I think in 9th scale, it gives us the opportunity to put humans with dinosaurs where the dinosaurs aren't 30 inches long or 3 feet long, whatever it works out to be. So it's just it's kind of creating a new category. Plus, we're hoping they'll be more affordable, maybe in that $250 to $299 range, where we get it out of that, $500 to $1,000 range and get it down to where people can actually afford it.
Has Chris Pratt seen any of the work you've done?
He has. He's seen the 1/6 scale head. He's waiting on the full body prototype so he can make his final decision. But we didn't get any pushback on the face, and the face for the 1/6 is exactly the face for the 1/9. We didn't change it. So we're kind of like using that as a way to go, well, this is 1/9 and it's exactly the same. Can you just go ahead and just blanket and approve it? So we think they're going to do that. Dealing with the actors, it's kind of tough because Chris Pratt, he's obviously a huge star and he's working on a lot of films. So it's hard to nail him down, and it may take a little while to get him approved. But we are in the process of that right now. But if you relate that with like Vikings, we did the Ragnar from Vikings, and that got approved within about 3 weeks. So
how about Sam Neill? Alan Grant?
Sam has not seen his likeness. I'm not 100% that I'm on board with the likeness as it stands. So I think I want to go back and do a few more edits. Plus, the Owen and the Ragnar were pretty much the finished prototypes, whereas Dr. Grant was still very much pre-production. Like the shirt's not finished, pants aren't finished. We bought some shoes online from a rapper doll, because they wear those Timberlands, and so we had to go in and buy things just to get that to Comic-Con. So I want to go back and retool on Grant just a little bit.
I'll tell you what, it was just, even as an early prototype, it's so cool to finally see like a collectible Alan Grant from Jurassic Park, and just seeing Sam Neill's likeness up there. That's something that I think fans have waited for a long time. It's insane that it hasn't happened before, and it's just kind of surreal seeing.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it was really cool because a lot of people just really dug the 6 scale stuff, and it's kind of new to us, and it's not something that I don't think we sought out to do. But with Jurassic Park, we saw kind of a void where, well, we're $200 and higher if we keep these things around $200, and then we got a lot of pushback from Universal in that they said, oh, well, you don't have 6 scale on your license, but our license is written $200 and higher, collectible. It doesn't actually, we don't have scales, we don't have what the product is. It is a very amorphous term in that, a $200 and higher collectible could be a bedspread. It could be wheels on a car. It could be anything as long as it's $200 and higher. And we've kind of had to defend ourselves within the past 6 months because no one wanted this license before Jurassic World came out. And we paid the guarantee. We paid the licensing fees. And we took a risk on this movie. And we saw the movie 3 weeks before the film came out. And I think we were laughing all the way out of the theater that, my God, this is going to be a huge success. And we just basically, we robbed a bank, basically. It was, and I hate to say it that way, and I'm not saying that to be arrogant or crude to anybody, but it's just, sometimes you have to take a risk, and, I think that's what we've done with Terminator Genesis, which was hugely successful for us. Even though the movie may not have done that well, it's still Terminator, and Terminator resonates with fans, and you have to take that risk. And with Jurassic, we were just like, who cares if the new movie's no good? We still want to make Jurassic Park, and we can do that the best that it's ever been, because I think only one other statue had ever been made by Sideshow. Yeah. So, like I said, I'm not trying to toot our own horn, but I'm just really proud that we stuck to our guns with Universal. We got that license. We were like the last pick on the schoolyard. We weren't the first ones in the door, and they offered it to everybody, but us. And our hat was in the ring, and I think we were just kind of like, well, let's see what these guys can do with it. Now, with the success of the Breakout Rex and our relationship with Universal and Amblin's offices, I think they're extremely happy that they made the decision that they did.
Oh yeah,
sorry, Chris, go on.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying, like, not only did you walk away with a steal, basically with the license, but you're actually putting out work that is first pick quality. It's not like you just stole the license. You're like, oh well, we'll make whatever. It's not. I've seen other licensors do that with Jurassic. I don't want to necessarily call them out, but there's been some like bobbleheads that aren't top notch. But you guys have just gone way above and beyond. What?
Yeah, and even if Universal or other companies didn't want it or didn't believe that people would buy these products, all you've done really is proven that there's still fans out there and collectors that want real stuff. Right. They want genuine collector's items, something we've never got.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And with the breakout Rex, I mean, you guys have to understand that we go through about 3 levels of approval with all of these products. I mean, firstly, it has to pass my approval, being the art director. And when we did the breakout Rex, it took a while for us to get to what we were actually going to do. And Carrie Dammel, our in-house digital artist, or in-house graphic artist, he drew it up in pencil, and we got to see kind of the I said I wanted the shape of the base to be Isla Nublar, kind of a little Easter egg that was thrown in there. I wanted to see the logo sunk into the mud, the Jurassic logo. I wanted to see the Rex stepping through. I wanted her to have weight. I wanted her to have purpose. And then we thought, well, do we do the fence? Is the fence too hard? Can that even be done? And I was just like, yeah, we're going to throw everything at it but the kitchen sink. So then we started doing direct overlays. So as Dean Tolliver, our artist, started sculpting the breakout Rex, we did direct overlays to the movie so that we made sure first we had the shape of the dinosaur right. And when she steps through the fence, I think it's her left leg, one of her toes does this really weird thing in CGI. We just physically couldn't get her toes to do that. So at some point you kind of have to say, well, we're gonna fix that because that was obviously a mistake. And then there's other little things you have to tweak, but then we send it over to Universal, and here's the great thing, guys. They don't actually approve it. They send it to Amlin's office, and Amlin's office goes, well, we're going to give it to Dennis Murin, and we're going to give it to Glenn McIntosh. And I mean, these are the visual effects supervisors for the movie who are sitting there with pencils going, no, her body line needs to be like this, and they're doing these drawings and then sending them back to us. So we're getting these incredible insight, and we make the change, and then we got it all finished, and we got it all approved, and one of our friends, Jonathan, sent us the female casting of the T-Rex head. Mm-hmm. You can imagine where this is going. So we get this casting of the female T-Rex head, which really wasn't in private hands. This one hasn't been recast to death. It's another great white buffalo. It just doesn't exist. So we get this casting of the 1/5 T-Rex head, and I went into Dean's office after we'd made a casting of it, and I said, I've got some really devastating news for you. And he goes, what's going on? I said, well, we have to completely redo the T-Rex head. So we did. And, that's what we try to do with each product is, I could rush it, but people took some extreme detailed shots of our T-Rex head at Comic-Con, and you can see every little scale and every little bump, and it's all in there, guys. I mean, it's we didn't cut any corners with that one for sure.
Yeah, it's an amazing looking piece. I mean, I can't properly stress how excited I am for that to finally eventually see it in person and everything along those lines. That is a piece that is really cool. Not just for a Jurassic Park fan, just for a movie fan in general. It's just such an iconic piece, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it came together really nice. We were going to use some well-known dinosaur painters to paint this dinosaur, and at the end I went with an artist. His name is Nathan Eakins. He paints most of our human characters, and he said, man, I really wanted to take a stab at that breakout Rex. And I had gone down to the Perot Museum and just poured over the details of I think that one was painted for Lost World. That's at the Perot Museum, but it's still in the brown universe of the female. Her stripes on her nose aren't quite as pronounced in the first film. But everybody thinks in the first film that the T-Rex is green. And, when the T-Rex comes through the fence, they think she's green, and she has this green cast. And it was really nice to talk to Glenn McIntosh at Comic-Con about the color of the T-Rex, because he thought that we absolutely 100% nailed it. And he showed me pictures of blue from Jurassic World in 8 different types of light. And in every single type of lighting, she changes complete color.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah, with ray tracing, the way the light bounces and it takes the light of the environment. It's tough.
Yeah, so he was basically saying that when you put a big rubber dinosaur or a CGI dinosaur in a green surrounding with blue lights, and all of that's going to reflect, and it's going to give you that greenish bluish cast that she had. So when Universal originally, we sent them the paint job, they came back and they said, oh, well, the T-Rex is green. She's not brown.
I'll tell you what, it's only Universal that thinks that, because everyone else knows that first T-Rex is brown.
And I was just like, oh my God, I'm not painting this thing green. So I sent back an email saying, yeah, we'll give it another pass. So we showed up at Comic-Con with the breakout Rex, and I didn't change anything, and everybody loves it. It's approved, it's coming out the way it is. And I'd actually sent pictures of the Rex hunting, like I think the Gallimimus, and then tearing the banner down. And she's brown in those scenes. She's not green at all. So, it's funny sometimes. It's nice now to be dealing with Amblin's office because they get it. They get our vision for this thing. And it's like when we sent the Stegosaurus over, they wrote me back and they said, "Oh, well, where's the honeycomb pattern on its back?"
See, that's
I was like, honeycomb pattern. What are you talking about? And then it's like, oh, it's on the style guide for the toys, so.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Because I think the honeycomb pattern was on the Jurassic World Stegosaurus. Given the Jurassic World Stegosaurus looked like it crawled out of the 50s with a dragon tail and a giant head, but that's a different story altogether.
Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I don't know. I'm just trying to create something from Lost World. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We just screen cap as much reference as we can, and we send it over and we go, "Hey guys, this is really what we're trying to achieve," and stand and paint it with the honeycomb pattern, and honeycomb's big, yeah, but it's not on a Stegosaurus, So it's guys, it's the frustration. It's with any licensor, you go through these things, and believe me, Universal, Reb, Jeffrey, if you're listening to this, in no way am I knocking anything that happens over there. We love you guys, and you guys have to be critical for a reason because so many people get away with so much, and we're not that company. We're trying to pay homage to these films, in as much as we're trying to make a deal with Glenn right now, who not only designed the IREX for Jurassic World, but we want him to sculpt it as well. So.
Yeah, I heard you say that in the video interview, and I think that's just insane. If that really happens, it couldn't be a more accurate IREX from that.
I don't think it's if it happens; it's when it happens. I'm wanting to start it pretty soon, and Glenn has already designed it. I mean, he showed me pictures. He did a face-off of the IREX and the T-Rex kind of walking up, and it's really cool because the IREX is up on its right foot. Its head's turning. Its mouth is just about as wide as it can get. Its tail's whipped around. Its arms are up like an attack pose. And it's like getting ready to attack the T-Rex when they're facing off on the street. And just the way the undulation of where it's up on its right leg, it just defies gravity. And it's such a big dinosaur to be so graceful in that pose. And I looked at it. Glenn showed it to me, and I was like, dude, that's it. That's exactly what I want. And then the Rex would be coming the other direction, getting ready to chomp, but we want a little blue jumping from the Rex to the And I just thought, cool. And when he kind of pitched all this to me, I was like, oh my God, and it's already done. I mean, the artwork is finished. He just has to basically detail it out a little bit and cut it up and send it to us. So I think that's definitely something that's going to happen. The other thing that came out of that meeting was he has an original Spinosaurus 5th scale.
Oh, nice.
Which is 8 feet of Spinosaurus. So we'll have a Jurassic Park female bust, we'll have the Lost World male bust, and then for Jurassic 3 we'll have the Spinosaurus bust.
Nice.
Which is killer to me because it's such a big piece and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Bled is such a huge dinosaur fan. I just want to give him a little shout out. I talked to him quite a bit, and he's such a big fan. It's cool. He did he posed the statue for the Blu-ray set. Also,
that's right.
Indominus. So he's a genuine fan. He's a collector. He's I'm pretty sure he's got everything Chronicle's got coming out. I think he's already got that all pre-ordered, as far as I know.
He ordered 2 of the breakouts, one for him and one for the director. So yeah, and it was really cool at the show. He was showing me that he had taken some of our early concepts that we'd posted on Statue Forum, and he had done overlays to the film and then sent them to like the director, Dennis Murin. And I'm just like blown away. I was like, man, it's so cool that our stuff is good enough to be shown to such big people in the industry, and it's to the point now to where we're probably going to do a bronze edition, a real metal bronze edition of the Breakout Rex. We're probably going to do 30 pieces. We've worked it out with one of the problems that a lot of people complained about with Universal was we were going to do the 5th scale T-Rex, and we may have gotten around some of the problems. we have to give so many pieces to Universal as part of the license
approval, right?
Everybody does that. There's no problem with it. Universal's take is a little bit more than other companies. So if I'm making 30 to 50 of something and I have to give 14 or 15 of those away, it doesn't make sense to make it. So Universal has lowered that number on the bronze so that we can actually make the bronze edition. And it looks like they may do that with the 5th scale Rex. So who knows? Maybe a 5th scale Rex will exist one day in one form or another. But I think the real metal bronze on the Breakout Rex will be pretty astounding.
That's...
And honestly, if Universal are listening by chance, this is honestly what the fans are after. This is what the fans want. You've seen how much they've sold already. These kind of collectibles that people, when they saw them at Comic-Con, they went mad. Every photo we posted, even like the compy, looks insane. I want that compy on my desk.
And the great thing about the compy was it was painted by Tim Gore. I mean, he worked on Lost World. He painted compies. I mean, he painted everything. So I mean, him and 200 other people, but still, the fact that we got an artist that worked on the movie and painted on the compies, I think it says something about us that we're willing to go that extra mile to get them as accurate as possible.
For sure.
And it shows. I mean, it's just such a beautiful piece. Even that added layer of authenticity and attention to detail, and just honestly care. Because I guarantee you, other companies aren't doing that. I mean, that's something that's really special.
I mean, I'm not going to knock other companies. I think there's a lot of other companies that do stuff extremely well. I mean, I think Sideshow and Tom Gilliland, who's the art director over there, I think he has a passion like me. I mean, it shows in some pieces. I'm not saying every Iron Man that comes out, they've got the passion for it, But I think the first Iron Man they probably do, But I think a lot of companies are doing it right. I just think that you have to set yourself apart, and I think the way that we do that is we don't do 80 pieces a year. We do 12 or 13, and we do them extremely well. So that's what I take away from it is that, we want to make ourselves different in a way that, we do these interviews. I don't know of other companies that really talk openly about their business, So it's, and I think that's a way the fans, it's weird because when we get fans, we keep them. It's like I've got guys who bought a Kane robot from us, 2.5 years ago who are still just loyal to this day. I mean, they just love everything we make. They may not buy everything, but they're extremely loyal.
Yeah.
So the compy itself, do you have any word on when that may reach pre-order?
Well, we have everything over to George right now. I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. I mean, producing stuff in China for Universal Studios is extremely tough. You have to have a Universal approved factory in China. Water has to be purified into the factory. Water has to be purified out of the factory. Certain safety measures have to be taken to produce these products in China. So they're about as hard as Disney is to work with in China. So that being said, Toonami has one of the best Universal factories in China. We can only put so much product into the pipeline to where it starts kind of jamming up. So what we have to do is kind of, stagger it out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, the compy, what we would like to do, and I'm just going to tell this to everybody, is we would like to do, maybe 2 to 3 products a month, and spread those out over the month. So one may drop at the first, one may drop in the middle, one may drop at the end, or we may just do 2 products a month. But what people are going to start seeing is when we do the pre-orders, the back-end delivery may be pushed back. So we have to keep producing. If I just waited for the factory to catch up, I'd be second quarter next year right now. So I can't do that. So I have to keep, under license, I have to keep producing product. So you're going to see us pre-ordering, but while the delivery schedules on the back end may be getting pushed back, people shouldn't worry about that it's taking longer to get the product done. It's the fact that the factory has to have time to get the first batches out so we can keep moving stuff to the factory, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, it does. It's a very complicated process is essentially the message, and it's not always, you can't always predict everything that's going to happen, but you got to work with the amount of space you've got, basically.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not the only factory using that Universal factory, so it's not like I have enough clout to go in there and go, you're just going to stop doing all of this other stuff for Walmart and God knows who else, and they don't do that. They don't do that anyway. They do high end stuff, so it's But at the end of the day, they may be doing Disney stuff or other Universal products for other people. So, but we have a lot of product in the pipeline right now. I mean, we have, I don't know, I think we have 5 pieces right now in the pipeline. So I think we have 3 of those up for pre-order. So, it's kind of crazy right now. So.
It's going to be an exciting couple of years.
Yeah.
And we have a question here sent to us through Twitter which says, are there any plans for more human figures except Alan, Ian, and Owen? Because we know, I think at Comic-Con you announced Ian, right?
Absolutely. I want to do Muldoon. I think he's right after we're doing Malcolm. Malcolm has been started. We're working on him right now.
Awesome.
We're going to do a Nedry.
A Nedry.
So,
I'll tell you what. Hammond and
I want to do a Sam Jackson. I want to do Ellie. I mean, I want to do them all eventually.
Yeah, I want them all.
Yeah, I think everybody does. And once we start getting the likenesses really down pat, I think the Pratt is extremely strong. I think our Ragnar is gorgeous. I think we still have to work. I think Conan's awesome. I just think Dr. Grant. We tried a different artist. On Dr. Grant, and while I like it, and it definitely looks like him, I just want to make some tweaks to it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean,
It's probably tough also because the reference pictures that exist are from the movie for the most part. I don't imagine there's great detailed turnarounds of Sam Neill on the set of Jurassic Park that exist today.
It's kind of funny. A friend of mine worked on Event Horizon, and he sent me all of Sam Neill's turnaround shots for the makeup that they did on Event Horizon. So even though it was a few years later, we still have pretty good reference for him. And we try to do that with everybody that we deal with. Fortunately, with like Vikings, now that our Vikings figures have come out, the next person, who I won't say who it is, the next character that we're doing in the line. Is on Facebook and saw our stuff, and they've contacted us saying, "Hey, anything that you need, I'm willing to help." So, that's kind of cool. And eventually, I'd like to have that with, with Jurassic Park. But I think of John Hammond. I got to do Hammond at some in 6th, and we're even thinking about doing the bronze from Lost World as a finished piece as well. So, of John Hammond. So. We have the cane, the Hammond cane coming out through another company, which is being produced right now. So we've, we're all
the cane will be exciting. That's a cool prop.
Yeah,
it is. We were lucky in that the company that's purchasing these, they had owned one of the original canes, or at least one of the promotional canes. So we were able to mold something that was extremely close to what's seen on screen. And right now, our biggest holdup is basically just designing the little amber and the bug. So we ended up, you can't take a real bug from China and stick it in a piece of amber and ship it over here. It just doesn't work that way. So even though he's encased in something that could never be exposed to the air, I guess the TSA has a problem with bugs coming into the country, even if they're dead. So we've had to grow the bug digitally, and then mold the bug and make injection tooling on the little bug and get it just right. And then the guy who owns the company is being, he's really picky about, the proboscis needs to be this long. The legs can't be. And I'm just like, it's a bug, for God's sakes. It's, but at the end of the day, we got to get it right. So that's what we're all about.
Yeah. It's a little details, especially. I think what really on that piece, what makes it like difficult, especially, is because the amber just draws the eye, and it's just like as soon as you pop and see that insect, you're just like, it's got to be spot on because that's probably exactly where everyone's eye goes first. It's like it's like putting a magnifying glass to a piece in its own way. It kind of does it to itself.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, it's got to be right, or it's going to look horrible. So, we've done a ton of testing here. I did testing here, and we finally got it down to where we know the process for getting the bug into the amber and getting it stationary and keeping it in place. That's not the issue. Right now, it's just, the bug that we were using was kind of large, and most people use like crane flies. And if you look at the Hero cane, it's not a big bug. It's actually a pretty small animal that's inside there. So because he's actually long ways, most people kind of tilt him up at an angle and they're big. And then you have the magnification of the amber itself. So when you put something in there that has an inch of amber around it, it magnifies the size of the bug. So he's actually pretty small, which we've come to find out after printing the thing in 3 or 4 different sizes and playing with it. But I think we finally got it right. I think it finally looks good. We just have to get the owner the owner of this other company to sign off on it, and then we can move on to other fun things like box art and all that. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about too was nobody has seen anything on the box art from these, and I want to let everybody know that each film franchise will be its own series of box art. So
I'm
fantastic.
really excited to see that.
Yeah, we're going to do, so Jurassic will have its own theme, Lost World will have its own theme, Jurassic World will have its own theme, and eventually when we do something from 3, it will have its own theme as well. So, and I mean,
the forgotten number 3.
yeah, it's not forgotten to me. I mean, I actually enjoy that film. I know a lot of people don't like it. I like it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, I love the Spinosaurus and the T-Rex.
Yeah.
I think it's all really cool. So,
yeah, I like the Spino. I have an appreciation for that movie. It's fun. It's good fun.
it is. I mean, it's probably my favorite piece from that film, and we're going to reproduce it at some point, is the big pterodactyl on the bridge where his wings are all scissored up behind him and he's walking on his knuckles across that bridge, and he's just so terrifying. And when I was watching that in the theater, I was like, oh my God, that's like the one dinosaur I would not want to mess with,
Yeah.
I mean, at least you run from the other stuff,
Yeah. Yeah, that whole scene, the whole sequence, as Chris said, it's like a horror film.
Yeah,
it plays out so scarily.
In my opinion, that sequence it's like kind of almost like removed from the movie because it's so good. It's like, Jurassic Park 3, I'm not the biggest fan, admittedly, but it's got a lot of cool. Like if you take snapshots of the film, it's got a lot of cool snapshots, in my opinion.
It does. I would agree with that 100%. But I think that big pterodactyl, whatever he is, when he's walking across that bridge on his knuckles, I was just like, I got to make that. Now, I know Stan Winston sculpted that maquette because I have seen it, and I have yet to find it. But I was talking to Glenn at the show, and he's like, oh, I can recreate that. I can do that. So he's like, yeah, we could just print that. And I was like, great. Well,
nice.
You need to bust that out because that's one that I definitely want to do. And that animal is so wicked. I'd like to do an Ankylosaurus at some point too.
That would be cool.
That is my all-time favorite dinosaur. So
same with the Jurassic World director Colin Trevorrow. That one's his favorite as well. So
oh really?
If you ever do that one, give him an email. Let him know that you guys are doing that because I'm sure he'll be excited.
Well, I actually thought about doing something with it and the little gyrospheres that are in it. So I'd like
that would be very cool.
I'd like to do that little gyrosphere in something. I just thought it was a kooky, weird little vehicle that they had made for the film that was totally impractical. But it could probably never work. And maybe it exists. I don't know. Maybe it actually exists. Somewhere.
It's what inspired them for it. It's really funny. It's the ever hear of the Sphero, the little remote control Sphero thing? It's literally what inspired the gyrosphere and what inspired BB-8. The difference is BB-8, I think they actually got to practically work, and I'm still not entirely convinced the gyrosphere could work. But it was they had the Sphero in the office, and they're like, you know what? We can kind of pass this off. If this little ball, we can control this ball going around, we can make a gyrosphere. So, I think that's kind of funny, though, that it inspired 2 major blockbusters in the same year with 2 kind of, I mean, I wouldn't say the gyrosphere is iconic as BB-8 because BB-8's a character. But, I don't know, I thought that was a little funny little detail hearing them both talk about it on, like, the Blu-ray special features, like how they have this inspiration, and it turns out it's the same little goofy little device that's kind of neat.
I think I'd want it made out of bulletproof glass, though. Something that couldn't be eaten by an Indominus. It's like...
Maybe swallowed whole.
Can't break it. Swallow's okay. I mean, you can survive that. So...
So the whole packaging idea is cool. And I was going to ask, we were talking about the ham and cane. I saw at Comic-Con you had the goggles and the Barbasol can. Does that mean you're going to produce some Barbasol canisters?
Barbasol is a double license. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge. We've reached out to we have our licensing agent contacting Barbasol right now. There's been no pushback from Barbasol.
Yeah, they seem like a really good company. They're very engaging with fans.
Yeah, the only thing is we want to produce the original label, which we had an artist recreate the original label for the Barbasol can because it's kind of funny. You know, my partner collects original film props, and he's like, "Oh man, this guy offered me this original cryo can." I was like, "Oh yeah, well send me a picture of it." I mean, it had a website on it, and I'm like, "Dude, nothing from '92 had a website on it." You know, so. So we're reproducing the label and getting with Barbasol. I think it will be easy, to get all that wrapped up. The only thing is, my friend Rilo at Palmetto Effects, who's made cryo cans for the past 20 years and has done them extremely well in every iteration of it that you could imagine, has probably burnt that market out. I would say, though, that we could probably sell a few hundred of them, just for the show.
I was going to say, it's something that I've been looking for a long time, and they rarely show up nowadays. I see them on eBay, but they're always, $500 or something.
The original cans have disappeared, and I think that's half the issue, is, a lot of these guys, they buy the original cans and labels, and they're just not around. Yeah,
I know Rilo, for a while, it looked like he looked like a Walmart shopping center, he had, cases of these things just sitting all over his house, but... I think a licensed one would sell. We made the
I'd buy one. I have one.
Mail bus, and I think just for the sheer fact that it's licensed makes the difference, So I think that's definitely something. I'm more excited about the Jurassic Park goggles, the night vision goggles, than I am the Barbasol can. Even though my friend Rilo did the night vision goggles, I don't think he made more than 50. I don't think he made more than 50 sets of those. And I sculpted that originally in about 2008. So it's kind of neat to have made that piece for the fans back then, and now I get to make it again as a licensed piece. So I find that extremely ironic and fun. And we're actually going to the archives. While the Universal Archive doesn't hold much of the original Jurassic Park stuff, props and costumes and stuff, what they do have is the set of goggles that were used in Jurassic Park and in Lost World. They're seen on the counter. And we're going to have a company called Captured Image. They're going to go out to LA and they're going to laser scan those for us, and then we're going to digitally print them and recreate those. So I think that's as close as we can get because Universal will never let us mold those. Mm-hmm. So now we have the technology where we can just scan it and print it, and it's 100%. So that's what we're going to do with the goggles. And I think the goggles will be extremely popular. We had a huge, we posted a sneak peek right before Comic-Con of the goggle, and on social media it did breakout numbers. So, anytime we post something up like a Compy or the night vision goggles and it does breakout numbers, we pretty much know it's going to do pretty well.
Yeah. So we've had, sorry, I want to get through some of these questions on Twitter. We've had a few. Most of them were asking if there's going to be more 1/6 scale figures, and people saying Ellie, Muldoon, Nedry, Hammond, so the same thing. But Jaroslav, a good friend of ours, has asked, are they hiring, and are they allowed to do vehicles in dioramas, and then brackets, the Lost World InGen roundup scene?
Oh, man, I want to do the scene where the little dude gets eaten out of the Mercedes by the two T-Rex.
Yes, everyone wants that.
My idea for that was to do it in 9th scale. So you would have
perfect.
You would have just a portion of the car coming out of the canopy, and then you'd have the two T-Rex heads coming down on it. So it's kind of almost like a relief almost. And oh god, I want to do vehicles. I want to do the Explorer, because when we did the Breakout Rex, I thought it was close to 20th scale until we actually started sculpting the base, and then I figured out it's 25th scale. So. Sorry, all those people that have Lindbergh Explorers that won't fit with our Breakout Rex.
Well, I guess that gives a possibility in the future then.
It does. The little Mercedes from Lost World will fit with it. I think it's 25th scale. So I know they made it as a model. I think they made the Hummer as a model kit too. So I probably wouldn't reproduce those as kits or as models because they already exist. But I think the Explorer or the Jeep or something like that, it just depends. Making a model car, it's weird, guys. If you want to make a model car, you really have to be pot committed on, are you doing a curbside model? And curbside means it doesn't have an interior. and it's just the body with the chassis and the wheels, or are you actually going to do a full blown, recreation where it's all injection molded and, to do 300 to 500 of something and have to pay $15,000 to $20,000 in tooling, you kind of see where that math gets pretty skewed really quick when you have to amortize that money over 500 units or even 1,000 units. I mean, it's a big difference when you got $20 right off the top for a metal mold. So
I think it's so strange though how Jurassic Park's been out since '93, we all know, and there's never been an accurate product of the Explorer from the film, and it's one of the most iconic vehicles from the '90s, right?
That's not entirely true. Lindbergh Models made a 20th scale Explorer, so I mean it does exist. I don't know that it's truly screen accurate, but it is out there. I don't know if it has the bubble window on the top. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I've seen that. I don't think it's fully accurate, but it's and it's hard to get. That's the problem.
Yeah, it is. It's
like everything.
It's $100 now. I saw one at Comic-Con. The guy wanted $100 for it, and I was just like, "Well, if it had been in scale, I would have bought it. I would have bought it for mine." So, it's kind of odd.
It doesn't have a bubble
with the
top,
Explorers, I would love to do them, and I would love to do one in some kind of scene, with a Rex or with something else, but it's one of those things where it's really expensive to make a car, and people don't realize that.
That's understandable. So Justin has asked. He asked if you have any plans for the Ambercane prop, which we know. He also said a Dilophosaurus bust.
Yeah, we have one. It doesn't have the frills or anything, but we have one, and it's something that we're considering, for Jurassic. So we could put that in the bust in our line for sure. It's not like a priority right now, but I would say be patient, and once we start getting through the dinosaurs, we'll probably visit it at some point.
I've got a question to add there. How about a 1/9 Dilophosaurus?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it in the video. I already have this thing designed in my head. I want the front of the Explorer coming through the woods or through the canopy, and I want Nedry standing there holding the cable and a little guy in front of him going, "I'm going to run over you when I come back down this hill." And that is totally happening. That scene I'm 100% going to recreate that. So with the water flowing down and, he's kind of slid down the hill and he's got the tow cable and there he is. There's a little guy, and I totally do that. I think that would be insane. Yeah. Little vignettes, and the other one I want to make really bad too is Owen on his motorcycle with the Raptor squad in that scale. So you'd have Owen jumping over the log and the 4 Raptors coming around it. So
that would be really cool.
That one's probably going to happen at some point too.
That would be really fun. People would be very excited. I mean, that scene really that scene caught on, as well as the scene where he's kind of holding his hands out as the 3 of them kind of creep up on him. Those 2 scenes really caught on in pop culture. They've really hit kind of an iconic status pretty quickly, and I know people would definitely love them.
Yeah, I mean, in 9 scale we can do so much. I think the sick trike is actually 9 scale. So my idea is not just to put the sick trike out, but to have the little Dr. Grant leaning on it and making the happy face. I think, but having it as a separate piece. So hey, you can display it as the sick trike maquette from Stan Winston, or you can have a little Dr. Grant on there, and now it's one of our 9 scale dioramas.
That's
nice. That would be insane. I think the 9 scale really lends itself to.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Stego is about 9 scale. So if the trike comes in about that size, which I don't know if it's bigger or smaller. It's been years since I've seen one. We'll play with it, but I think whatever scale it is, I'm putting a little Dr. Grant with it because I just think it makes it magical. That's such a happy moment in that film when he's laying on that trike and it's breathing. I think that's just fun.
Yeah. Another iconic moment from the first movie, yeah.
Speaking of that Stego, I want to mention how big it really is. Like, I think a lot of people, they hear the specs and they don't realize it, but when you see, they're big. It's nice.
Yeah, all the maquettes are rather large. People at the show were like, "Oh, the T-Rex bust is so tiny," and I'm like, "No, the Raptor busts are massive,
gigantic."
They're like 7 feet tall. when they're standing erect. I mean, they're huge. And people don't realize how big some of this stuff really is until they see it in person, because nobody in person said the T-Rex bust looked small. I mean, it was big.
It's a nice piece, in my opinion. The size is like perfect, and for me at least.
Yeah, I mean, and I have one hanging on the wall here in my office, and it's just awesome. I love the thing. So, with the Compy, it's 1-to-1, it's 30 inches long. I mean, it's a big piece. Some of these things are a commitment. And we did the breakout Rex. Everybody was complaining, oh, it's too small. Why didn't they make it bigger? And I look at the breakout Rex, it's like, it won't even fit in our showcases. And we have big showcases, here at work. And it's like, I have to put the thing in there sideways. And, I think it gets to a limit to where we don't want to size people out of the market. With the Indominus, I'm going to keep it about 24 inches. Even though the Indominus in scale with our breakout Rex would be about 30 inches long, me and Glenn figured out, we're going to have her tail curl around so that we keep it within like that 22 to 24 inch window. And I think that's good for people. You get much bigger than that, and it's like, God, where do I put this damn thing? And then we size people out of the market, and you price people out of the market. Ideally with the IREX, I'd like to keep it about the same price as the breakout. So even though it's a much bigger dinosaur, but it's something about the IREX that's really grown on me. I really dig it, and I think it's super cool. And it
looks like an abeliosaurid. It looks like it's the same family of like Carnotaurus, Majungasaurus. Like it looks like a real animal. It doesn't look like a monster, despite its genetic heritage or whatnot. It's a really cool looking dinosaur.
Yeah, I wasn't too thrilled about the color palette that they used on it, to be honest with you. But I get that they're going for that color changing chromatophore thing, which really wouldn't do what they did in the film anyway. But that's a whole nother. That's one of those picky nerds that's just like, I wouldn't do this in real life, and it's just like, yeah, whatever. You got to suspend belief, and just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, it's a cool looking animal. It
is. It's vicious.
Yeah, and I love its teeth and just the little horns above its eyes. It's got a lot of character to it. I
thought it was fun at Comic-Con. Glenn showed us the original CGI for when the Indominus first escapes and she grabs its first victim, the little guy she picks up and she chomps him and then rips him in half. There's like a tree in the way. You know what happens, but you don't see it. But we actually got to see the Indominus literally just like a chicken leg. She reaches up and grabs the little guy's leg and rips it off and then downs the body and then eats the leg. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was great. And I guess the director said, man, there's going to be little kids watching this movie. And I'm like, well, did they not see the scene where the two Rexes pull the little dude apart and Lost World?
In half. Well, there was a interview with Colin Trevorrow, and it was interesting. He said that the MPAA, they had him remove a bunch of blood from the dinosaurs on the movie because they said otherwise he'd have to go rated R. And he was just like, I guess they've become more serious with that or something. So I don't know if maybe that was part of the issue, but damn, I don't know.
It was pretty graphic. I mean, we watched that scene over and over for like 3 or 4 times just because the movement was gorgeous. I mean, the way they animated it was absolutely perfect, and all the gore and everything that was going on. I was just like, man, that was beautiful. He's like, I know, and they covered it up with a tree, and I'm like, yeah, that happens, So it was good though. It's good to make those relationships, and to be honest with you, Glenn was camped out with us every day of the show, and I think he was really proud of what we were doing. And with the Owen and the blue, even though he had nothing to do with that, he said our blue was 100% spot on. So.
If I'm not mistaken, he posed blue for the cover of that magazine.
He did. The actual pose that we did for the Entertainment Weekly was done by Glenn, and then one of the things that he liked that we did, if you look at our blue, her hands are really pulled up, like they're really curled back on themselves, whereas most people leave them out. Ours are really curled up tight, and he's like, man, most people miss that detail. And I was like, oh yeah, no, we get it. We saw it, but it's pretty cool. But some other big news, we're working with Crash McCreary.
I saw that in the one video. Any chance you could give us a hint on what exactly that might lead to?
Absolutely. You can have the exclusive. We're doing the Baby Raptors. The three baby raptors playing.
I know the exact piece you're talking about. That the piece where the three of them are kind of like playing and like.
There's one scratching his eye. There's one laying on his back, clawing at another one, and one's got his leg pulled up like a chicken. So yeah, it's the three baby raptors. That's going to be our kickoff piece for our Legacy series with Crash, and we hope to do a lot more stuff. He's just, I mean, I said it in the video. You know, Greg Paul and Crash McCreary are why dinosaurs don't drag their tails. So you know. And Crash created this whole world, and to me, you know, Stan Winston, yes, he produced the dinosaurs, but Crash definitely made them the way they are.
Oh, Crash has been an inspiration of mine growing up. I mean, I've always just admired his artwork for the Jurassic franchise, and I mean, when he hasn't had an effect on the shapes of the dinosaurs in the movies, you can tell which ones he didn't really influence, and
right.
I would like to see more from him in the future. He's just him and a bunch of other artists, obviously.
Right.
He really, I don't know. He's done a lot of cool work, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Crash is you know, extremely talented. I love, you know, a lot of the films that he's worked on, and you know, it really shows, his art kind of shows through to the final product in most cases. And one of the things that I've always loved was that drawing of the baby raptors, and I have it hanging on my wall at home, and I just I love it. And when I pitched him hard to work with us, you know, it's, you know, a lot of these guys, you know, it was so much of their life working on these films that, you know, they may not have an affinity for it like they did when they first started. So, you know, the fact that he was willing to say, yeah, you know, I really want to do this. I think you guys are the guys to do it, and, you know, take a little bit of a risk with us. But I should be able to show something soon on the baby raptors, and I'll let you guys put it up first.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
That would
be sweet.
That would
But
be
they're
really
one-to-one
cool.
scale. They're going to be one-to-one scale, all three of them on a base. Crash is going to sign the plaques. He may actually sign the certificates of authenticity for it, too. So.
Oh, wow. That is really, really cool. I'm really excited for that. Oh, that's
and another thing too. We may be including a signed Stegosaurus print with the Stego for people who have bought through the website. We haven't announced that yet, but that may be just a little added bonus that everybody will get with their Stego.
Wow, that's awesome. That is
I
really
want that Stegosaurus. That's one thing I wanted to ask, actually. Just getting out of you know, people who live outside of the US, is there anywhere elsewhere that maybe we could purchase from to avoid those, like...
Yeah, I know, guys.
Costs?
It's the fees that kill everybody. I think what we may do with, you know, with the Crash piece, we're definitely going to make that worldwide. You know, it'll be available worldwide with the baby raptors. With the add-on, with the Stego, when we typically make it, you know, a direct purchase only, unfortunately, it's a direct purchase only. You know, we kind of have to stick to that because, you know, we try to capture as much of that retail dollar in the first 30 days as we can, and then we put it out, you know, as wholesale. So, you know, it's just an incentive. It incentivizes our fans and customers who are loyal to us and our overseas buyers, you know, to keep coming back and buying from us.
Yeah.
Of course.
Now, that's not to say that we couldn't take his running T-Rex print and put that out as a poster. The problem with that is I got to check with Universal, because what we would probably do is offer it as a shipping thing where you just pay the shipping on it, because it wouldn't be $200 or higher. We'd have to do it more as a promotional piece. But there may be something where we can do something signed of his where, you know, he just wants to give back to the fans, and maybe we do it as a lottery or something like that. So I'm sure we can work something out in there.
That would, I mean, honestly, that would be incredible. There's so many pieces of Crash's work that are just very, very iconic and synonymous with the Jurassic franchise that a lot of fans very much know, like, very well. So, I mean, just there's so much work from him.
I'm also sure that I could, you know, get a couple of copies and send them to Jurassic Outpost, and you guys could give them away. And if you guys decided to keep a couple of them, I wouldn't be offended. So.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sure, you know, everyone would love that. Would love that.
that would be really cool.
There's just a few things before, like, we wrap up. I'm just looking again at the 1/9 scale Owen and Blue. It's such a perfect scale. It's such a perfect size, and like Nedry or even Muldoon with a raptor behind him. Could you imagine? That would be insane.
Yeah, it's coming, guys. I mean, if you can imagine it, we're going to try to make it. So, we get a lot of feedback from the internet, and it's funny. We had one artist in France, I think, has already been designing night scale dioramas for us and sending us the concepts. And one of the concepts that he did was pretty ingenious. And I'm probably going to use it, and I'm going to give him full credit on it. So, I may actually pay him. So it's one of those things where if you have an idea, if you have an old maquette, if you have an old piece of artwork, sitting in your basement that you bought at auction, or if you got it from a friend, get in contact with us, because we do pretty generous trades for originals. So one guy who is supplying us with a few pieces, we'll get a really heavy discount on future products indefinitely. So, we do try to do creative deals with people.
Mm-hmm.
Because so much of this stuff resides with the fans. Universal doesn't have anything. So, we really have to rely on the fans to get this stuff.
Oh yeah, it's all sitting in private collections because Stan Winston Studios doesn't exist anymore. They became they didn't become Legacy. They kind of split off, and then Legacy formed from the new beginnings of that, and then Stan Winston School happened. But there's no proper archive. Yeah,
and the family sold most of everything. I think. I mean, I know Matt still has some really cool maquettes and stuff, but it's expensive, and it's not that I don't want to deal with the family or I don't want to deal with Legacy. I really would. It's an economy of scale. When I'm making $300 to $500 or something, there again, if I'm paying $20,000 for an original or something like that, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
it just doesn't make sense to deal with those kind of numbers.
Absolutely.
I mean, just a final question from me, and you may not be able to talk about it, but obviously Jurassic World 2. Mm-hmm. You guys are going to be making products for that, correct?
Well, the way our contract is written, that we kind of are in line for that. There's no guarantees that we will get first right of refusal. I'm going to tell you this: I'm going to go to the mat on it, though, and I'm going to try to pay them some hefty royalty checks. I'd like to clear our guarantee by the end of the year. Which we're on track to do that. So, it's the people that put money in the coffers that usually win, although Amblin and Universal offices have also told us that it's not about, the money, it's more about the quality. And we like to hear that, because
that's great to hear.
I think they're extremely happy with the quality of the product that we're doing. And as long as with the 6 scale line and all of our lines, we're making product and we're being successful with each product. We may have a couple of hiccups along the way, but not everything's going to sell as well as. I mean, to be honest with you, we're going to do 300 Stegosaurus. It wasn't as popular as a Breakout Rex. I understand that. You got to be passionate about Stegosaurus to buy it. It's a big piece. So, but at 300 pieces, it makes sense. And I think I wish everything would be a Breakout Rex, but we know that we've got to be unique and creative to get those kind of numbers every time. So I think that's what's when it comes to Outpost. I mean, we're definitely looking for 25th anniversary next year. We're gearing up for that. Universal's working with us on that. They're moving the Jurassic Park experience from Australia to the United States, which is going to
Philadelphia first. Actually,
our products are going to be on display at the museum tour, and it looks like we may actually be building some of our large scale pieces where we have 1-to-1 raptor molds and 7-foot T-Rexes. We may actually be building some of that stuff for the experience, so the fans can actually see the pre-production process. So, Universal's, I think as we get through this process, guys, I think they're going to, the more we can do for them and the more they can do for us, it's kind of a quid pro quo thing, and we're all about helping. And when they did licensing trade show in Vegas, they asked us to take the Breakout Rex there. I flew it out personally. I set it up in their case. Did anybody notice it? I doubt it.
Oh, yeah.
It was the fact that I took it, and it made it on display. So it's those little things and those relationships that, and as long as the fans are happy with what we're doing, and they let Universal know that we're happy with what we're doing, like guys like you who are an important part of the whole process, with your website and everything. I think all that at the end of the day, they'll weigh all that when the next film comes out, and hopefully we'll get it, and we're going to go hard for it. It doesn't make sense for one company to have 4 of the films and not the 5th.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely want to see. I just the breakout Rex and the other products speak for themselves. It is I want to see more, and I really want this to be an ongoing thing. As long as you guys are still enthusiastic about it, I want to see those different pieces coming out because they look great, and I'm really excited for what the future may hold.
Yeah, and it's harder for a new company to come in and just take one new film with unknown people, where what you rely on is getting Dr. Grant. You rely on getting Owen. You rely on getting the old dinosaurs. If you just came in and you licensed Jurassic Outpost, that could be a huge risk, because the people could be unknowns. The dinosaurs, it could be an in-between movie where they're building up for the 3rd, which is going to be the big finale, So there could be, it could be a risk for a company, but for a company like us, it's already establishing our brand in Jurassic Park. I think it's just a natural progression.
Yeah. You know what? I do have a question. Last time we did a podcast, you hinted that you might be thinking about doing a Mosasaur piece. Is that still something that might come into fruition?
Oh yeah, we haven't stopped on that. It's just the Mosasaur is probably going to be in our 9th scale line, even though it's probably not going to be 9th scale. It's going to be a lot smaller than that, probably.
That thing's huge, so even 9th scale would be gigantic.
That's probably too big now that I think about it. Yeah, it's probably going to be more like the Rex, probably 25th scale, somewhere around in there. It's still pretty big, but my idea for that is a clear block of water with the Mosasaur coming out, biting the little, whatever that little hybrid thing was that it eats.
The weird pteranodon that looked kind of like a bat.
Yeah, my brain's totally fried right now, so I can't think of his name. But when he bites that, the girl's inside, and like the Jurassic,
brutal.
Like the Jurassic Park or Jurassic World logo, I'd like to have in ripples in the front of the block.
Cool, yeah,
very cool. Subtle, but it's in there, like it's rippling, and then actually have the fin of the Mosasaur cutting through one side of the block, so it actually. You're bringing it out of not just the top plane, but one of the side planes as well. Because defying gravity is that kind of thing that I like. So,
yeah.
Mosasaur is definitely on the list. Somebody asked me if I was going to do it eating the Indominus, and I'm like, no, that's just a little too crazy, But I have to keep things affordable, guys. Not everybody can afford $500 T-Rexes, and I'm sorry it costs $500. It's just... people have to understand Universal Factories, Toonami's the best. We try to do art, not statues. So it costs a little bit more.
Yeah.
It costs a tad more. So just trying to do everything we can. Jurassic, we're not sitting on our hands. With Jurassic Park, I think we live and breathe it every day here. And,
yeah, and I think Comic-Con showed that. Everyone that's reacted to the article that we posted showing some of the artwork, and everyone that's posted about it on Twitter is just amazed at the lineup and the products that are coming. So,
awesome.
Honestly, congratulations, Paul. This is what the fans have really been waiting for, and yeah,
people are thrilled. They're buzzing about it, and honestly, it gets a lot of traction when we post about it. You can see the numbers of the views and the clicks and the shares and the retweets, and it's really capturing people's attention. They're excited, they're happy, and they want more.
I'll have Chris or I'll have Alex send you over some pre-production stuff, like us making some of this stuff for Comic-Con. And let you sneak some of that up. So I think that'll...
Yeah, that would be...
Yeah, that would be...
cool.
I think people would want to see that as well.
Yeah, people love the behind-the-scenes process. I know I personally do. It's really cool to see the hard work and artistry that just goes into creating art.
Yeah, I think Alex posted yesterday, him painting his... I painted the male raptor for Comic-Con, and Alex painted the female. And he did a couple of behind-the-scenes photos for Twitter, I think, yesterday. And
yeah, I saw one of those, I believe.
It kind of blew up a little bit. So we'll do some of those kind of things for you guys. And, that maybe that'll get some hits for you guys, get the popularity up and those kind of things. So I do want to say one last thing about the Raptor busts. It looks like we're going to do one version of the bust, which will be the open mouth version. And we may not do the male paint job on that particular bust, we've got to get with the factory. My idea was to do one pose of the mouth, but offer either paint job and either set of eyes. So the factory's gotten back to us saying that it probably, if we only sold 30 males and 500 females, then it's kind of expensive for them to tool up, even though it's the exact same body to tool up for that paint job. So we'll have to see how that goes. But for right now, it's just the female raptor in that pose for right now. And that should be up for pre-order within the next 30 days, we're hoping.
Do you know?
Awesome.
Do you know what the price is that you're targeting? I know it might not be something you're ready to talk about. I know it's going to be pricey because that's a big, beautiful piece.
Yeah, and I try to tell everybody, if you look at Elite Creature Collectibles, who's one of the companies that Toynami deals with, this piece is bigger than anything they've produced. So, ideally, if I had to hazard, I would say between $1,200 and $1,500.
Okay, that's probably where I was expecting it to be.
Is where I would like to keep it, and on a 10-month payment plan, $120, $130 a month, that's kind of palatable. So, it's not $2,000. It's not. Somebody says it's going to be $2,500, and I'm like, no, that's crazy. We're not Cinemacat. We're not going to go that crazy with it. So I would like to keep it under $1,500, and I think for the size of it and the value of what you get, I think it's pretty cool. So as soon as it gets back, I think our crate lands here on Thursday of next week. We're going to take them out of the crate. We're going to start having people pose with these things so they can actually see how big they are.
Yeah. Do some cinematic shots where it's like coming out, like do like a kitchen sequence. Do your own kitchen sequence with that thing.
Yeah, people have said, Heather, who poses with most of our stuff, she must be a midget, and she must be a little person, and I'm just like, she's really not. She's probably about 5'8". She's thin, but she's not tiny, and it's just our products are really that big. Now, me, on the other hand, I'm 250 pounds and I'm 6'4". I make everything look pretty small. So it's that weird balance where you have to find the right and Alex, bless his heart, he's smaller than Heather. So, to give him something, it's like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Like a little kid holding it, So he's going to hate me for saying that. But
it's like Tim in the Velociraptor.
Yeah, I guess. So it's just one of those things where, that's why it's great with Comic-Con. That's why it's great with Wonderfest, the couple of shows that we do a year. We're also doing Jurassic Con in LA in September.
Oh, I heard about that, yeah.
So,
that's going to be exciting.
Joshua Belez, I think is how you say his last name. He's throwing that. And he also...
Yeah, I saw a picture of you with Brent as well, who was an extra in Jurassic World. You, Josh, and Brent with it.
Yes. That's those are the guys that are throwing Jurassic Con, and I think the Chiodo brothers are going to be there. They're going to have a big display of props, and we're going to fly out 2 or 3 pieces and do that show for them. So I think it's free to the public too. It's a Frankenson show. I don't think it costs anything to get into the show because it's a signature. It's like a collectible signature show and toy show. So I don't think it costs anything to the public to come in, and people should come out and check out. We'll have the 1-to-1 Raptor there, and probably the Breakout Rex, and we should have Owen and Blue painted by then. So cool. We'll have those on display along with some of the 6 scale. So we're going to fly out a couple of key pieces. It won't be the whole Comic-Con rigmarole, but it'll be a portion of it. And we're one of the sponsors of the show. So, yeah, come out and see us at Jurassic Con. It's a Frankenson show. It's in L.A. Don't exactly know where it's at, but I'm sure it's easy with the old Google box there. We can find it pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll probably we'll
spread the word
about that when nearer the time.
And then
for New York Comic-Con?
I'm sorry?
New York Comic-Con for this year?
We really probably should be doing New York Comic-Con. It's so close to San Diego, and we're not Sideshow. We're not one of these bigger companies. We just we have a limited amount of publicity budget. And I'm going to do Jurassic Con in September, and I think George is going to have some of our pieces in his booth at Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, but we won't physically have a presence there.
Who will have pieces?
Toynami.
Oh, okay.
Probably the Breakout Rex, maybe the I think they're going to have one of the 6-scale figures there, probably Owen. So they're going to have a presence. We'll have a presence there, but we won't like have a booth. We don't have a booth at Comic-Con. We have a piece of George's booth because he's our distributor and our manufacturer. So we're there by the grace of George, and we've been there for 3 years in the same spot. And this year was the first time that we've kind of felt the restraints of the cases that we're in, and we're actually talking to him about maybe getting a little more floor space for next year. So I would like to get these things out of the case and on pedestals so people can get all the way around it. So, But yeah, I mean, we're 2.5 years in October we're 3 years old, and we've got Terminator Genesis, and we've got the third largest film franchise of all time. So I think we're pretty lucky, for where we're at, and I don't see us slowing down anytime soon. And just keep checking back with us. The big thing I would tell your fans and our fans is get on the mailing list, because if you don't know about us, if you don't know where to order our products, at least with the mailing list, you'll get notifications of when stuff's going up for pre-order.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, we'll obviously on our website as well keep plugging away when things become available and try to help people see as many pictures and get as much information in a easily digestible format as possible.
Yeah, that's great. And then you guys got to get down here to Texas and give us a visit. We got to get Jack across the pond, and
yeah,
we need to go blow some shit up. We're in Texas, so we can go have some fun. And
it's a fun state. My time
What's
there,
that?
it's a fun state. Texas is fun.
It is. I mean, Dallas is a desert. It's flat. There's not much pretty to look at here, but it is a cool city. There's good nightlife and there's cool stuff to see. So
let's do it, Chris. We'll arrange a trip for next year.
We should totally do that. I mean, it's 25th anniversary. You guys should come over here. We'll do something. Maybe we should do something special for your website. We get it licensed. We get it licensed through Universal, and you guys sell it on your Jurassic World or Jurassic Outpost site.
Hey, perfect. Yeah, no, that sounds fantastic. And Paul, honestly, thank you so much for coming on again. It's been great to speak with you, and I'm sure everybody listening has enjoyed, hearing about the products that are coming and the process behind them. It's brilliant. And thank you again for actually creating products that we've been waiting for 20 plus years.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that, Chris. I appreciate it, Jack. I mean, it's one of those things where, we set out to get good licenses and we set out to do a good job. And at the end of the day, when we have a success like the Breakout Rex, we know we're doing something right. So all I can say to the fans is, get on our mailing list, stay with us, stay tuned, because we've got a lot of stuff coming. And we got a lot of stuff coming that, most people will be shocked about. They'll be like, oh my gosh, they're making this now, and that's the kind of reaction that we like.
Awesome.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thanks again, Paul. And I guess we'll speak to you hopefully in a couple of months.
Absolutely. You guys have a nice day, and don't be strangers.